If you want to control your drinking quickly and you don't want it to be a fight and a battle, one of the best things that you can do is start to understand other people's worldview who have the mindset that you want. At the end of the day, I don't want to sound cocky, but if you could see alcohol the way that I see it, I can guarantee that you would never drink again. Because I see alcohol as a poison, as ethanol, as something that adds nothing to me. I see no logical reason to ever drink again, despite struggling for so long. And to understand somebody's beliefs is you have to understand why they came to those conclusions. So you have to study, you have to listen to other people, you have to learn from other people, read books, watch videos. And this is why I wanted to publish this video today. It's a podcast where I was interviewed by Marcus Smith, the founder of Inner Fight, which is the gym that we're a member of, and Marcus is the founder of it. He's a very inspirational guy, a great athlete, an amazing entrepreneur. I'll link it to his Instagram down below, but he interviewed me on my worldview when it comes to alcohol. And hopefully, after you've watched this entire interview, I will basically implant my worldview and my beliefs into your brain so you can make stopping drinking easy as well. I haven't been interviewed in a podcast format in over 5 years, so if you enjoyed this, please leave me a comment down below. Let me know your biggest takeaway from the interview.
Let's rock and roll, Leon. I want the exact moment when you decided that alcohol wasn't for you.
See, my journey there is not like everybody else. So, like, a lot of people will come to that conclusion in like their 40s and their 50s, right? Where they're like, do you know what? I don't think I should be doing this. But for me, it was, probably like the 10th time I got drunk, I was like, whoa, hang on. So it was very early on, like my journey was so acute. It was like this peak so early on, and then it was just struggle for years, right? So, I think I went to my first Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I might have been in 2019, something like that. Because, alcohol and drugs just cause so much chaos. So I realized that alcohol's not for me, a long time ago, man, long time ago.
What was the realization? Like, what's the feeling? Someone is thinking, or someone's in two minds about, and I don't think, and maybe we'll progress on this, alcohol is one substance. There's a number of different substances, and exercise can actually be as addictive to a lot of people. But what was it that was happening maybe inside your mind or inside your body that was starting to give you the feeling that this is, like you said, this is just not for me?
What can happen for a lot of teenagers? Like, so that's kind of when you start experimenting, especially in England, right? When you're like 15, 16, that's kind of when you start dabbling, whereas in America it's probably a lot older. But I remember we started smoking some weed when we were about 15 or 16, right? Just being naughty, being boys, and then I started drinking. And then I remember, because at school I was never really accepted. And, you're trying to find your identity, you're trying to find who you are in the world. And I never felt accepted. But then I remember I smoked some weed and there was like this little bit of notoriety, right? So I remember it was a half-term break, so we got 10 days off school, and I remember I got either drunk or stoned every single day for 10 days, right? And it is nothing, right? It is what it is. But I remember I went to school, and I remember telling people, and it was like this moment of, I'm proud that I've drank, and you get this notoriety, and then all of a sudden people just accept you a little bit more. So I kind of think that's how, for me, it started, where I was trying to find my identity, and then I got something. And it's a really strange journey, but then very quickly, I got something from alcohol and I got something from drugs. I got this tiny bit of status, and then everything just started crumbling away. And yes, it's sad, but then, it
is interesting, isn't it? Because you sort of give me a flashback there to school and to kids that smoked, maybe smoked drugs, or maybe were drinking. Like in school, well, when I was in school, if someone in the school was drinking, everyone knew about it. I don't know how the teachers didn't know, or maybe they didn't know, but they were always sort of considered, I guess the way that you've put it, like they're a bit different, they're a bit cool. And why do you think that is? Why do we view people that are doing something bad, really? We shouldn't have been taking those substances at 14, 15. Why do we view them as a little bit better than everyone else?
Well, that's the world that we live in, right? It's what grown-ups do, right? Grown-ups drink alcohol, so you're kind of showing that I'm maturing faster than all of you. You're still kids, and I'm an adult now, which is a sad reality. Yeah, but I even remember going to university. It's almost like university was like a breeding ground for what's to come next. So at university, everybody just gets smashed. And I remember it was like Freshers Week, right? So everyone's coming in hungover. And the teachers would kind of snigger. They'd laugh, right? They'd be like, oh, look how hungover he is. Like, it's totally normal. It's totally fine. Like, going out, consuming this poison, consuming this drug that's, could destroy your life, that's destroyed tens of thousands of people, die from it all the time, and then your teacher's there laughing. It's just a bizarre, right? If you actually think about it, it makes no sense.
Think about it like that.
But then what happens is you kind of develop this addiction to alcohol while you're at university, and then you go into some corporate world, which is what I did after university. I went and worked in an office. It's even worse, right? It just continues. So
it's weird though, because we've gone fast through quite 3 very different stages of alcohol and drugs. 1 at school, where it's like cool because it elevates our status. 2 at university, because that's kind of the social norm. And like you said, lecturers, like, they don't bat an eyelid. They almost, I remember some situations just as you explained, like the lecturers would laugh at it. And then we go into the corporate world or to the working world, where, especially in certain industries, alcohol is a huge part of the industry. Like, you can't sign deals, but in some industries, the whole wining and dining clients, so it almost serves in those 3 stages, which could be in a 6-year period. It serves us in 3 really wild ways, doesn't it?
Yeah. So then what though? Like,
and that's what I was going to ask.
By then it's too late. So there's a famous example in a book, right? There's Alan Carr, Easy Way to Stop Drinking, and he uses this example of a Venus flytrap, and how it works is like the animal will come to the fly will come to the top of the thing. It will taste this nectar, and then it won't fly away because the nectar's so good, but it can fly away whenever it wants. So it's like, oh, it's so good. And then if it looks down to the bottom of the plant, it just sees carcasses, right? It just sees all of these flies that are dead. But it can fly away whenever it wants, but it keeps eating the nectar, and then it looks down, it's like, nah, it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen. Eats. And then it becomes so fat that it can't fly, and then boom, it dies. And then the thing in the book, and this example was used in many books, it's like, when did that person lose control? Did it lose control when it was a 16-year-old getting the status, or have they lost control when they're 30, when they actually try and stop and they realize I can't stop? Like, when did that person lose control? And the role of an alcohol company is they want to hook you as early as they can, right? They want to get you when you're 15, when you're 16. It's why you see alcohol pops. It's why you see, these seltzers. And once they've got you, that's it. It's like you can't really escape it.
The alcohol pop thing has always interested me. I think it's pretty unethical because of what you've just said.
It's beyond unethical, right? Just think about this for a second. So I think The Rock is worth like $1 billion now, right? Maybe, and I think Conor McGregor sold his alcohol company $500 million, right? These people have made just insane amounts of money. It's just next level, right? And, I said this in a video a long time ago, and who benefits? The Rock benefits, right? He's laughing. All of the shareholders around him, everybody's laughing, right? They're probably 100x their money. So there's a certain group of people that are getting a huge benefit from selling alcohol. But then who doesn't benefit? The end consumer, right? All they get is a bottle of this poison that's 40% poison, 60% water, whatever, vodka, gin, whatever it is. And by buying that product, they are literally consuming something that is going to put them in a grave. So it's so unethical, right? But the people that are around The Rock, or the people that are around the company, they're benefiting in a big way. But then if you go to Mexico, right? Guess what happens there? You'll go to some like poor area, and then you'll go to some little shrine, and then you'll see a picture, and guess who it is? It's a drug cartel leader, because a drug cartel leader is enriched his local area. He'll send money back home. He'll build a church. He'll build a house. They'll go and sing songs about the drug cartel leader. So sure, that person benefits, but who doesn't benefit, right? The end consumer, right? They're just destroying their life, and it's this double standard that we've got. So going back to alcohol pops, it's sick. It's like disgusting.
Yeah, it's kind of like the food industry as a whole, though. Like, and it's not unknown how food companies, how alcohol companies, how cigarettes have changed slightly, but are hiring psychiatrists to try and figure out how to make packaging more appealing to people's brains. We're caught in, and like you said, mate, who benefits? It's all for pure greed, financial gain. It's a really weird sort of situation, and like you said, you're going up in the grave. Not everyone, but we're selling whether it's bad food, alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, things that we know when they're abused and because of their addictiveness are abused often, will kill other human beings.
No, but if you think about it, it's the beautiful thing it's the most beautiful thing to sell, right? Your lifetime value of a customer is they'll drink it from day one of being born, day one of being able to drink until the day that they die. And it's like hijacking these reward systems in your brain, right? It's the dopamine from the drug, like social media, all these massive companies. It's just hijacking your brain. And the thing is like for you to work on any long-term goal, health, whatever, a business, a career, like these things take sacrifice. And you've got to kind of just get away from this instant dopamine because, you know, an alcohol company, a social media company, they don't give a shit if you just sit there on your phone all day scrolling or if you go and work on your business. They don't care. Yeah. So and I think a lot of people need to, you know, just distance themselves from short-term gratification as a whole, not just talking about alcohol here. Yeah. And start working on these things that are going to long-term impact them.
I don't know the stats and probably should have done a little bit of research, but definitely when I was growing up, and obviously it sounds like when you were growing up as well, social media wasn't so prevalent. So the distractions, the bads, which were then seen as cool and elevated our status a little bit, were more attractive. Do you think, or maybe you know, that people are less addicted, the youth are less addicted to alcohol now and more addicted to other things like social media?
They say that less millennials are drinking. That's I've heard that in the news before.
Yeah.
But I think that's more that, like, kids are kind of waking up, right? There was no conversation around it. So when my nana was growing up, that's just what everybody did. And if you didn't do it, like, it just would never come up as a question. Same with smoking cigarettes a long time ago. And I just think conversations are progressing where kids are now like, well, hang on, like, should I really be doing this? Like, is it really all that it's made out to be?
Yeah.
And I think maybe, you know, that could come from maybe just the youth are just bombarded with marketing, right? 24/7, phones, advertisements. It's just a constant attack. So I don't know, maybe people are just becoming more aware of like the product placement in a movie or... So yeah, I guess but I think the thing is, man, is it's going nowhere. Like, yeah, there might be a small percentage drop, but...
Yeah. We've added another problem with these other things that are addictive. I mean, the example we're talking about is social media, but we still have a problem with the old school things like alcohol. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, and like, this is the thing is, I'm not trying to change the world, right? Like with what I do, I'm not trying to lobby a government and tell them to ban alcohol or anything like that. I honestly think everything should be legal. I don't think there should be a government saying this. However, like what I'm trying to do is, I'm not going to go and sit in a lobby, but if I can help like an individual change their relationship with alcohol, that starts a conversation, right? So like if it starts at the individual level, so if I can influence one person to stop drinking, to, you know, see alcohol for what it is, to see it as a poison, as a drug, rather than this, you know, nice thing that's in our life, if I can get them to change that, then what happens is, like, when I changed, I set an example for somebody else. Well, now I set an example for a lot of people, right? But then when they change, they set an example for people around them. So, you know, I'm hoping what I do is I just help the individual change, and then they spread it. And then it kind of just spreads on its own.
When did you stop drinking alcohol?
Permanently 6 years ago, but I've been stopping and starting for, you know, as long as I can remember. Like I said, when I started drinking, it was just this acute thing of like, oh shit, causing damage like so early on. But then my life was just up and down. So it was just like, you know, I might stop drinking for a month and then everything would go well. I'd tell my family I'm not drinking ever again, it's changed my life, blah, blah, blah. Boom, then I'd drink again. So, and this cycle just went on for so long. Like, so I've stopped and started more times than I can count. And
why did you start, when you stopped and you, like you just said there, like life was going good, everything was good. What were some of the things that made you start drinking again?
So what would happen is alcohol would cause a lot of pain. So I'd generate this pain, and that would be enough to get me to stop. Then after you stop drinking, for sometimes I might have to take a month off, sometimes a week off, but eventually the pain subsides and you forget, right? So then, like, let's say I just had this really bad hangover, you know, there was one day where I threw up blood on a computer, right? Like, okay, that's enough to get you, to scare you, right? Where you're like, whoa, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But that will get you going, but then the pain eventually subsides. So then it's like you forget. You just totally forget. It's like, oh, it wasn't that bad. So when I would start drinking again, I would forget the pain, and then I would see somebody drinking. Like, I don't know, I had this friend who was super successful, right? Just like great career, investments, everything, and he would drink, but not a lot. So I forget the pain that alcohol has caused me for the past 8 years or whatever it had been. Yeah. And I'd look at this guy and I'd be like, huh, he's got his life together. He just has a little bit. And then I think, but if he can do that, surely I can do it. I'll just have one. Oh, my days. And that would be it, right? There's no such thing as one drink. You know, it's a chain reaction that never ends until you break it. You know, that's varying degrees for different people. But yeah, to have this idea of just having one, I'd start thinking that I could be a normal drinker. Yeah. And every time I'd fail. And I've done that enough times to realize that, that voice in your head is lying.
Do you believe that there is such a thing as what you've just said there, like a normal drinker?
Yeah.
Someone that could have 1 or 2 drinks and, like you said, that guy looked to have his life together. Whether he did, whether he didn't, who knows? But you said he doesn't drink too much. So is there that type of person that exists?
Yeah, 100%. But I don't want to be like them. You know, if anything, I would feel sorry for them, because why are they thinking that? What do they think they're gaining from taking that drug, right? You know, my thinking is very black and white. Like, I'm very open-minded about everything, but on this one topic, my mindset is 100% like one way, and it ain't gonna change. I've done enough research. I've had enough experience to not change it. And you know, what would happen in my mind if I thought that? I thought, oh, there are normal drinkers. There are people that can do it. I would just immediately think, well, there's also people that can smoke crack and have a normal relationship with crack. Do I want to do it? No. So it's just not an admirable thing. If it's good for them, but I don't want to be like that.
The severity of drugs, right? If we look at all of these different substances as drugs, there's severity, and like one of the most common drugs that kills the most people in the world is sugar. But it's freely available and it continues to kill. And I agree with you, mate. Like, if someone said, yeah, I'm a recreational crack smoker, you'd be like, you're what? You know, it wouldn't. But there's this weird scale, isn't there? And on the scale of where a drug like sugar is killing millions, and then crack, heroin, whatever, on this end is actually not. But this is really demonized, and this is really common. And I don't know, does alcohol sit in the middle? Like, mate, it's very sort of a personal thing. But what's your thoughts on that? Like, what's your thoughts on sugar, mate?
Oh, I've got no opinion. So I don't demonize sugar. Like, so a lot of people that will stop drinking alcohol is they will, you know, there's a lot of sugar in alcohol, and the blood sugar will drop, and they'll eat a lot of sugar after stopping drinking. One thing that people can do, though, is they'll stop drinking and then they will switch the addiction to sugar. Like, that is actually quite common, because, you know, when you stop drinking, the blood sugar's down, you want to eat sugar, you get these cravings. And what I always say to my clients is, you know, the first week, go easy on yourself. If you want to sit in front of TV all day and eat a bowl of ice cream, it's better than drinking a bottle of vodka, right? Like, so what? But what you don't want to do is start switching the addiction, because going back to the idea of dopamine, you know, you're getting your dopamine from just a completely different substance. But yeah, you know, there could be a whole conspiracy there with sugar, and you know, it's addictive like alcohol, and you know, there's just money in it.
I'm not. That's what I'm thinking right now. Like, you could take someone who is having like any number of drinks, 2 or 3 drinks a day. We want to get them off it. We understand it's not great. But then we've put them onto sugar, onto the ice cream. Like, is it? This is where I'm trying to understand how you see it. Is it the addictive? Like, what did you replace alcohol with in your life? Let's go that way.
Sure, but just going back to what you were saying, there is one significant difference between sugar and drugs, and the difference is that if I eat a bowl of sugar, I'm going to sit there and then get a sugar crash. If I drink a bottle of alcohol or vodka, I'm going to cause chaos, right? If I get in my car after drinking some sugar, whatever. If I get in my car after drinking 10 cans of beer, so there's quite a significant difference. That it's like caffeine, right? Still a damaging substance. It isn't going to cause that insane damage that the other
Although
drugs.
I think some people definitely should be banned from driving when they have too much sugar, though, mate, as well. But no, your point is
probably me.
Is very. I see, especially. I mean, you see the difference in the behaviour in kids, but no, your point is very valid. where was your addiction? Your addiction was alcohol. Where did it move to?
When people stop drinking is, what they'll do is they'll go to the past, right? So they might sit with a therapist, talk about, childhood trauma. They'll do all of this stuff. They might go to Alcoholics Anonymous. They'll call themselves an alcoholic. They'll label themselves a problem. They'll go make amendments to people. So, the addiction that I stopped drinking with was creating a future, right? It was creating a vision. It was actually sitting down and asking myself, like, who do I want to be? Nice. And what kind of life do I want to live? So, what I did when I stopped drinking, it was within like 2 weeks is I started a business. So I started personal training. So, and I built this vision, right? Like I was like, all right, I need to get back. I need to start my own business again. I need to do my own thing. Because when I stopped drinking, my life had just crumbled away, right? I had no money. I was borrowing money off my family. I remember calling my nana at like 25 years of age, like, can I borrow 500 quid? I've got no food in the fridge. It was embarrassing. So what I did was I just asked myself, like, okay, who do I want to be? Well, I want to be an entrepreneur, right? That's what I wanted to be. So I remember within 2 weeks, it was like the confidence came back, the energy came back, the clarity came back. So I knew that I could do it. And then I spent, it was probably about 3 months personal training, but it was like instant. Client straight away. I'm on the gym floor all day, trying to make money just like, and it was working, right? And then I was taking like this business course and, just because I asked myself when I stopped, who do I want to be? So I was taking these courses, learning all this stuff, trying to change, my identity. And after 3 months, I built like these onboarding systems. I felt like a machine. And then I did Facebook ads and I was getting customers for the personal training and I was getting like £1 leads at the time. And it was like, I've cracked it. I've cracked the code. I've finished this business. So now it was like, I either go and open my own gym or I'm going to work in this gym. I'm going to live in England. I don't want that life. So, the thing that I'd always wanted was I wanted an online business, right? And what I ended up doing was booking this one-way flight to Chiang Mai because I knew what I wanted. I didn't know how it would look. So, when you said like, what do you change your addiction to? It was just like, well, hang on. I just had a vision for my life instead. Like I didn't need to swap it for sugar or swap it for another drug or another substance. It was just like, what do I want? Have a vision for my life. I knew what I wanted. I wanted this online business. So, I went and booked this one-way flight and I went to Chiang Mai. And because I had like one friend in Chiang Mai, there was one guy that I met in the personal training world that had an online business in Chiang Mai. So I knew 2 people there. And then luckily when I got there, it was, a lot of other people with an online business. And I spent a year, I tried to do online personal training, fitness training. Not for me, that's not me. Like, I don't count my macros. So if I'm telling this person, that person to count their macros, there was an incongruency that I couldn't handle. So anyway, I got there and then I spent a year freelancing. So I was just like working for anybody, doing anything. Write this YouTube script for me, film this YouTube video for me, do this email for me. I was just saying yes to everything. So I did this for a year. And then after 1 year, I met somebody in Chiang Mai called Nick Nimin. So Nick teaches people how to start YouTube channels. And he basically said, like, you can't keep doing things for other people. You wanted to do your own thing, start your own YouTube channel. And he owed me $300 for some scripts that I wrote for him. And I said, all right, don't give me the money until I've made 3 videos. He's like, all right, deal. And I made a video about not drinking for a year. I made 2 others that failed, but this one video I made about not drinking for 1 year, it got traffic. It got 5,000 views. It got hundreds of upvotes on Reddit. And just comment after comment after comment, like, oh my days, this is just like me. This story's mine. I can't believe you've done this. Blah, 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 blah. And that's kind of where it all started.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So I guess you did change your addiction, mate. You became addicted to achieving the vision that you had for your life. That's what you've mentioned dopamine a few times. That's what fed you your dopamine, because you were excited about, you had a moment of clarity, you got a vision, I want to build an online business, bang. And I'm going left, right, and you were successful, so you get satisfaction.
It's actually, I've never really thought about it like that, but if you think about it, all the things that I were doing had an element of short-term gratification, right? Like there was an element of, oh, I just got a client. Great. Oh, I just got £3,000 in my bank. Oh, wow, it's working. Oh, and then, I don't know, I made a YouTube video for somebody, 200,000 views. Oh, I can do YouTube. And yeah, maybe there was all these like little milestones that kept happening, which were short-term hits of dopamine, right? But it's good dopamine because it's contributing to a longer-term vision rather than just this drug that's just dragging me down. So maybe what happened is I just got addicted to doing like the hard work, and it was like, oh, hang on, progression. And rather than in the past, it would be like drink, go down, up, down. Whereas this time it was a lot more linear. So yeah, everything was just building upon itself.
It's super interesting because all dopamine is equal. It's just how we release, how we force, not force, but yeah, sometimes force. I mean, cocaine forces it. How we force it out of ourselves is through different ways. But the feeling in the body and the chemical is still the same chemical. So you're releasing it through business, whereas previously you're releasing it through alcohol. You're feeling really good in the moment, but then there was a lot of repercussions, same as a lot of different bad things. But the dopamine is still there. What's the, I think the book's actually called Dopamine Nation. And it explains it because it's almost like stress. The body, stress is stress, whether we get stressed through work, through relationships, through training. And this is the biggest issue that I see, especially within our gym, where we have a lot of people that are in super high stress jobs, incredibly successful. You know, they still want to train more because they got to where they are by doing more, and now they want to train more, but that just adds more stress. And they're like, yeah, but it's training stress. But it's all stress. It's the same thing. So you are still getting this great release, which you're not any different. Like, we're all the same. We all love dopamine. I mean, I was reading recently the amount of people that are actually addicted to online shopping. Like, it's crazy, mate. Like, and if you think about the whole, take Amazon, the whole Amazon experience, it's small bits of dopamine all along the way. And you've searched and you've read a little bit and you've added it to your cart, but then you haven't checked out. And then you get a reminder and then you check out. And then the shipment's on the way and they send you an email. And then they send you another email that's delivered. And then you can't wait to get home. And then do you know what I mean? All these bits are just these tiny bits that are feeding us, which is crazy. Side note. Anyway, so you started a YouTube channel. Talk us through that, mate. How did it feel sharing your story on one of your first YouTube videos for the first time?
Well, hang on. So I actually tried YouTube for probably 5 years before I made the... You can't see any of these videos, but I remember
Come on.
The very first... I'll show you after this. Yeah. The very first video I posted, it took me a year to actually make it. Like, when I first thought about doing YouTube, and I was shaking, like physically sick. It was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. But then by this point, I was a little bit more immune to it. Like, I'd had bad comments and, trolls, and, you just stop caring. But I remember when I made the video about not drinking, I cried in the video, and there were real tears. Really? Yeah. I just flooded up with tears.
How did you feel about that, mate?
Well, at the time, I mean, you just stopped caring, right? It was like a raw video. I don't think there was a single cut, or there might have been one cut in the video. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to post it. And I guess there was an element of maybe there was a slight element of fear, but just post it anyway. Like,
do you think you'd come to a point where you're like, I started drinking to fit in because I used to care so much, but this period of my life, I can just see it hasn't served me, and now I'm free, and who cares? It's me. This is me now.
Yeah, and I remember, like, the first year that I didn't drink, I didn't make a big deal out of it. So I didn't tell my friends. I told a few friends, but I didn't really, I just kind of kept quiet about it. And I remember when I made the video, I did send it to a friend of mine, and he was like, I didn't even know you really drank that much. I was like, yeah, you had no idea. Because I didn't, and this was the big difference between other attempts that I'd stopped drinking. In the past, I'd make it this massive deal. I'd tell everybody, I was in an AA meeting, this, that. And this time it was just like, do you know what? Because I knew in my heart that I was done. Like, I made the first time in my life I'd ever made a real decision. And when I say decision, it's like this cutoff, right? Where it's like, that's it. I ain't touching that again. And I remember I told one person, like within the first few days of stopping drinking, somebody that I worked with, excuse me, and he looked at me and he was like, oh, here we go again. And I went silent. I said, do you know what? I don't need to tell anybody because it's done. Like, I'm seriously done with it. And I can't remember your question, but...
we're talking about you breaking down in the first video.
Yeah. So then, by this point, I hadn't drank for a year, but my life had gone so much better. Like everything had fixed. I was in a relationship. I had money in the bank account. You know, I was doing what I wanted to do. I was living in Thailand. I was like, I've done it. I've been here for a year. It's really happened. So yeah, by this point, and I didn't know what I was going to do. This was the thing, is I just thought, you know what, with YouTube, is you kind of just got to start throwing stuff at the wall, and eventually something will stick. And I knew that's how it would work. And it was just like, you know what, let's just try a bunch of stuff and see what happens. No idea that this was going to be still going down 5 years later, which is crazy. It
is a bit nuts. It's funny, mate. And I remember when you told me that for the first time, because with us British, you often hear the opposite story, that you book a one-way ticket to Thailand, get addicted to alcohol, drugs, and lose everything. But you went to Thailand and totally reverse engineered it. So you've put up this first video, mate. You've told everyone about. You've shared your story and been sort of quite vulnerable and open with it. How did the business sort of pick up, and just explain to us a little bit how it works? Because if people are listening and they're like, oh wow, this is something that I'm interested. So how did it sort of progress, and what is it?
So, well, the business is a coaching business, helping people. It's coaching and education, so it helps people stop drinking alcohol. But I'll get back to that. So, you know what it is. I posted this video and it got some traffic, but I didn't think anything. At first, it was just like, oh, that's cool. And then I tried some other stuff. And then I made another video about the 5 benefits of not drinking for a year. And again, it got traffic. It didn't get as much traffic as the first video, but it did better than all the other videos that I was trying. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I just made a few more. And the thing is, at this time, is I was quite vulnerable. Like, I didn't know what I wanted, so I'd get a lot of like predatory business coaches that were like messaging me. And it is, the game's the game. I'm not upset. But they were like, "Oh, have you tried this? Have you tried that?" Because I'd done a little bit of personal training online, so I had, you know, a very low understanding of the basics.
Yeah.
So I was getting this person DM me, and you know, they almost got me. But I didn't buy from any of these people that were DMing me. But I remember I was riding my motorbike. I did this visa run. So in Thailand, you know, you get like 60-day visas, whatever, and you got to go and leave the country, then come back in. And I rode my motorbike. It was like this 5-hour motorbike journey. And motorbikes, they're really good, you know, because you get these ideas. You're like meditating, the mind's calm, and then boom, you'll get this snap, and you're like, oh, that's what I got to do. And I remember riding back, and it hit me. And there was this mentor that he was on YouTube. Somebody gave me access to his course. Supposed to buy it. I bought it later on because it was so life-changing. But anyway, it is what it is. So I remember riding the motorbike home, and it was like, right, just listen to one person, one mentor. Don't listen to anybody else. You're getting too many shiny objects. This person's saying e-commerce. This person's saying YouTube. This person's saying Facebook. This person is like, it's like just quiet everybody down and listen to this one person. And he didn't really tell you about what platform to do. He said do a bit of Facebook, but it was more about the fundamentals of a coaching business. And it was like, all right, first define the problem. Right, what problem are you trying to solve? So define that. Then define the person who you're going to help solve that problem with, right? So I defined somebody that was just like me. So it was, you know, and I defined that. And then he said, now sell the solution to that problem. And it was like, and it was so simple. He made things so simple, and it was all about the fundamentals of helping people solve a problem, right? Which is what any service or any coaching or anything does. It's just about taking somebody from where they are to where they want to get to. So I learned from this guy, and then it was like, there were also so many missing pieces in my knowledge, but now I kind of got the fundamentals. Is I could see the missing pieces, and it was like, okay, well, hang on, you need to instead of sending the traffic to this, send them to this, and then start the conversation, and blah blah blah, and then all the pieces started coming together. And what happened was I made a Facebook group at the beginning, so I would send the YouTube traffic to a Facebook group. I'd be on Facebook adding people, and I just helped for free. I just did all these free calls, just coaching calls, trying to learn more about the problem, trying to help people solve the problem. And then I think I had 100 people, 50 people in a Facebook group. So I made a course, and it was like spelling mistakes. It was because he'd always said, like, you know, you just got to get things out fast, test them, see if it works. Minimum viable course, just get it out there. He might have used some more colourful language, right? I won't say it here. So anyway, so I gave this course away to like 50 people. Oh, Leon, I'm going to do it. Yeah. Nobody took the damn course. So I'm there, and I'm like, this ain't going to work. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do something else. Anyway, so then a couple of weeks have passed, and then I got this message, and he was like, Leon, I watched the course. Like, I'm done with drinking. And he said, I'm going to send you a video testimonial. This is insane. So he went and got these like super expensive bottles of liquor, right? just pours it down the drain. Like, I'm done. That course was insane. I know I'm not going to drink anymore. And I remember showing my girlfriend, and I'm like, look, like, do you see this? And it was the first time, like, the dream was now a reality because we'd created value. We changed somebody's life through the internet. And I remember seeing this, and it was just like, I can do this. Like, it could really happen. So from that point, man, I was studying all the time. Like, I've probably spent 50 grand on courses, on education, just study, course, consultant, this, that, trying to put all the pieces together. And what happened was, did that, and then I started working one-on-one with people. So, I do one-on-one calls. I'd work with them for 12 weeks, charge them whatever, and I give them this course. And then more people stopped drinking, and more people stopped drinking. And then, just eventually the course, the one-on-one coaching just got fully booked. And I think it was like 12 clients. I just can't do more than 12 one-on-one clients. It's too hard, having to do videos and this and that. And then basically from all the sessions, from my own experience, from everything, from the research that I'd done, because by this point I've read so much more. I knew so much more about alcohol that I built the program that there is today. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It's not a long program. It's very compact. But I put everything into this program, so it's like an online course, education thing. And it sounds too good to be true, but it will take somebody I've had clients that have drank a bottle of vodka every day for 20 years. No joke. Like, I've had some of the worst case drinkers that don't drink anymore. They've tried everything. Nothing worked. I've had people that said, when they were drinking, they got to a point where their vision was affected. Like, they were almost going blind because of alcohol. Boom, changed. And the course is all about helping somebody just reshape their beliefs on alcohol. Kind of, what we've just spoken about earlier in the podcast. Yeah. It's just 10 levels deeper. We just go way deeper. And really just help somebody get into a state of mind where it's like seeing alcohol this logical way. There's no emotional pull to it anymore, so it becomes a choice. And a choice is always, if you see it that way, is I'm not going to drink it. Like, why would I choose to put that in my body? So this is how the program works. And then we've got that future-focused element where it's not about going to the past. There's no therapy. There's no counselling. Not that I don't believe in that stuff. I tell people there's a time and a place, but it's not going to contribute to you on your journey to stop drinking. You need to change your perception of alcohol. And then focus on the future.
How do you do that though, mate? Like, changing someone's perception on something like alcohol is, when we're calm and logical, and I mean, you and I have spoken about it quite a bit, it's pretty straightforward. Like you said, your course was, okay, you spent a lot on it, but you've said from the start, it's not overly complicated. But what we're talking about often is reprogramming someone's mind, changing that relationship, changing that perception. How do you get someone to do that?
Easy, man. That's
Buy my course.
No, I'll tell you how to do it. And if the thing is, I tell people is my YouTube channel. Oh my days, I've spent so much money on that channel. It's free. I'm talking like way over 6 figures, right? Just on editing, on the equipment, on everything. And I've put my heart into it, and I give it all away for free. And the way that you do this is you use first principles thinking. So, like, going back to that example with the business coach, right? He would say, this is I learned it from him, and I've heard about it before, but he would say, what does society think about building a business, right? How do they label it? Well, they say that it's hard, that it's difficult, that you need an investor, you need a big idea. You hear all this BS that's not true. When you boil it down to its first principles, you break a business into its component parts. He says, so what do you need? You need a problem. You need a problem. You need a person that has the problem. You need to be able to market to that person and talk to that individual person. You need to sell them a solution and deliver the solution. So let's break it down into its principles and then study the principles, right? And then you realize when you put it back together, your paradigm is business is 100% possible. It's not even that difficult, right? And you probably have had this experience as well. So this is what we do with alcohol. Is if you think about it, all the only reason why somebody drinks is because there's a perception that they gain something from drinking, right? Otherwise nobody would do it. They think that it helps them relax, de-stress. They think that it tastes nice. They have all these reasons that they think that they drink. So if you can break that down into its component parts, right? Like, so let's actually study the taste of alcohol, right? And then you break that down and you think about it more, and you're like, well, hang on. So when did I think that I liked the taste of drinking? Because the first time I tasted alcohol, I spat it out. It was disgusting. So it's like, well, hang on. So then, do I really like the taste of alcohol? Well, if I like the taste of alcohol, why do I not put pure alcohol on my cornflakes in the morning? And it's like, well, hang on. I don't like the taste of alcohol. The taste just slowly became tolerable, and it tastes like shit. Like there's no nice way to put it. Well, hang on. So that means maybe I'm actually addicted to a drug. And so you're boiling it down to its core, and you can do this with all these different beliefs, right? There's all these different beliefs. And this takes time. Like, I'm not going to say that you could do this in 20 minutes. You've got to sit down. You've got to write down. You know, you've got to do a lot of journaling, introspection. You've got to do a lot of study. I give this away on my channel for free. Like, somebody could spend a bunch of time watching the channel. They'll get there. Obviously, my program's going to be a shortcut because you get handheld through it, right? You're accountable. There's a community of other people that you're doing it with. You know, there's the whole coaching element after you actually stop drinking. But yeah, it takes a lot of study, a lot of introspection. You buy books, read papers, listen to podcasts. But eventually, I think that anybody can get into that state of mind where it's like the choice. It's like a logical choice. And then, like you made it the point earlier of, okay, when you're tired, when you're feeling lethargic, then it's going to be difficult. Well, not if you don't see it as a solution to your problem, right? You don't see crack cocaine as a solution. You don't see, taking a painkiller as a solution. But yeah, once you can see alcohol the same way you see other drugs, it doesn't matter.
It is interesting because so many people, I mean, we're Tuesday now recording this, but on a Monday, they're never drinking again. And hopefully it's not until Friday when this feeling comes around, but for some people it comes on a Monday night. But, Friday afternoon, it's the weekend, and it's exactly what you said. They're only going to alcohol because that's their default setting, and that's what they're used to, whereas if you've deconstructed that. However, for a lot of people, mate, introspection, reflection, breaking behaviors down is quite deep-rooted, because a lot of the reason, like, if you look at the reason why you started drinking at school, it's because you didn't fit in. Now, you're confident, and you're super happy to say that. You said it in the first 2 minutes of the show, and you don't care because you're so confident in yourself. But for some people to actually say, or to get to a point and say, actually, I started drinking because I felt not good enough. That's brutal for them. And because then we have to understand why they got to that feeling. And that's hard, right? So the whole thing it's a big emotional roller coaster, which hurts to unpack.
Yeah, like drinking for a lack of confidence. I mean, I'm quite sure I heard it recently that some of the most successful people in the world suffer from an inferiority complex, not superiority complex. They think that they think that they're better than people, but they also think that they're not as good as people, so they have something to prove. But this idea that alcohol, it doesn't give you confidence. What ends up happening is, you drink, and let's say you set a goal of getting in certain shape, right? Coming to the gym, losing X amount of weight. If you don't hit that goal and you drink, your confidence doesn't increase. Your self-esteem just goes lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. So the more that you drink, the lower that your self-esteem goes. And you got to go back to like, okay, you don't feel good about yourself. You're not confident about yourself. Well, why? Like, what's the root cause of that? And yeah, I mean, a lot of the time it's like breaking commitments to yourself and not staying true to your word. But when you get rid of alcohol, if that's like the cause, if that's like a major problem in your life and you feel like it's kind of filling a void of confidence, it's got to go. Because then you can then start building that trust with yourself. And when you say, okay, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, I'm going to do 5 workouts this week, and you do it, it's like, then you start building a bit more trust in yourself. And then, self-esteem, it takes time, man. When I stopped drinking, I didn't feel good about myself. I felt like shit. I wanted to cry. Like, I just looked at my life and, oh man, it was a disaster. Like, I just remember waking up this morning, the morning that I stopped drinking. I'm not even telling you half of the stuff I did that night, but honestly, I just remember waking up. Yeah, there was, honestly, man, I don't even want to go there. But there was like, trash all over the room, like dirty laundry, half a bottle of whiskey that I stole from my housemate. I felt like crap. But that's the thing, is that if I was in such a low place, feeling so bad about myself, no confidence at all, just terrible self-esteem, as soon as I stopped drinking and then I started stacking the wins, that's where confidence comes from. I'm not naturally a confident person, but it's through not drinking and building trust with myself. And it's just like it builds. So
You have good confidence now, mate. I've watched your YouTube channel as well, and you do a great job and that's what, I think that's probably what, you've mentioned it a few times, that's what resonates with people as well. Like, you've shared your story, and you've shared it now as well. Like, you've come from not confident to actually being in front of a camera and just saying, this is me, this is what I've done, just being vulnerable. But I think it's tough, isn't it? Because the work is hard work. It's like getting in shape, losing 10 pounds. You've worked fucking hard, mate, to get to where you are. Right or wrong?
Yeah, but maybe going back to what you said about the work on the introspection, right? Hard work, 1000%. It takes hours, right? It can take hours, it can take a lot of money to shift your beliefs on alcohol. But the way I see that is, like, especially the people I work with, I'll give you an example. So I had a client, he joined a program. He did end up drinking again, but he stopped drinking for 6 months. And this is no joke. He went from startup to over $100 million company valuation in 6 months. Would he have done that if he kept drinking? No way. So for him to do that, it was costing him $100 million to not drink. How crazy is that? It's worth him even more now, but he's built those initial conditions during that 6 months of sobriety. So, like, for the right kind of person, the ROI to spend your time and money on solving a drinking problem, it dwarfs everything. And people don't see that. My program's not cheap, but we talk about ROI, and it's like, I mean, there's nothing else out there. I mean, the hours that you put in, the money that you put in, you solve that problem, and your life can skyrocket. And I speak to a lot of people, they're like, oh yeah, maybe I'll make a bit more money, maybe I'll lose a bit of pounds. It's like, mate, you've got no idea what's going to happen when you actually kick it out of your life. Like, you don't even know what you're capable of.
Yeah. Let's go back a little bit to maybe not upset everyone, or I kind of know how you're going to react to this. Not, because for some people, some people are like, I don't have a problem with alcohol. I'm doing super well in my business. I wake up, I feel great, and I have a drink every 6 months. Is that okay? Are we happy with those people?
My message is just not for those people. They just don't watch my channel. I get those people in my comments every so often, like, yeah, it's like, well, don't watch the videos. Like, okay. My message is for a very specific person that, they know they've got an issue with alcohol.
Yeah.
And, it's just not for everybody.
Which is what you said, like, what are the problem you're trying to solve? What is the solution? I mean, it's the same as well. Like, not everyone wants to be 5% body fat, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's exactly the same. Here's a question then. You didn't tell anyone for a long time. You told your friend, and then there was no reaction. There's two sides, isn't there, normally? There's the guy or the girl that stops drinking and never stops telling people that they've stopped drinking. And then there's the way that you went, a little bit stealth, and you figured it out that it was for you probably, and you just kept quiet and you cracked on. Working in that space, is there a success rate difference between the person that tells you 20 times a day that they don't drink, or the person that stays silent about it?
Yeah, 100%. So I don't know when I stopped drinking. I don't know the date. I'd never celebrated, hey, everybody look at me, I'm 1 year sober.
I wondered why you hadn't answered my fucking question before. Brilliant.
I don't know the exact
Really?
Yeah, because I don't care, because it makes no difference.
Amazing.
Because when you make a decision to not drink, you're as much of a non-drinker on day one as I am today. It makes no difference.
Right.
So is there a difference? So I don't see myself as sober, right? I don't, like, my YouTube channel, my name is Sober Leon. I don't see, like, when you met me, if we didn't start talking about work, you would never have known I don't drink alcohol. It's not my identity. I'm not some recovering alcoholic. I don't give myself any of these stupid labels because they don't help. So the problem is that when you start giving yourself these labels and you start identifying with being sober and you start, celebrating, look at me, look, I've not drank for a year, you're telling yourself that was an achievement, right? It's like, wow, look at me, and I've done so well. Like, well, hang on. You're how you're supposed to be. You're not. It's not an achievement to not drink alcohol. And that, listen, I'm not trying to point my finger.
Mate.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's like it's not an achievement. It's, you just make a decision, get it out of your life, and that's it. Because and I'm not trying to be critical, because the problem is that you start putting alcohol on a pedestal. And what you're saying is that, oh, this is this really great thing in everybody's life, and I've not drank for a year, and and you're saying that the further that I get away from alcohol, the longer I am, the more of a non-drinker that I am. That's just nonsense, right? That doesn't help anybody. And listen, hey, man, if you get a year sober and you celebrate, go out for a dinner. Yeah. I'm not trying to say that's a bad thing. It's more about the mindset of what you're actually, the self-dialogue of like, oh, I'm doing better, I'm on day 7. Oh, I'm doing better, I'm on day 30. And another problem with that is when we start setting these milestones where it's like, oh, day 7, day 30, day 100, whatever, is some people will then say, well, now I deserve a drink. It's been a year. It's been 30 days. I could go back now. It's been a long time. And, you know, then like, so what are you trying to say? At 5 years, I'm more of a non-drinker, so then, you know, you got to be careful with that dialogue, thinking I could go back to having just one drink again.
But it's vision, mate. It's what you said a while back. You had a vision of what your life, what you wanted your life to be, and that's taking all your focus. You don't have the time and the energy to count the days, the weeks, the months, the minutes, make posts about it, because you've got this vision, and you'd rather put your energy into achieving your vision, to make it. You'd rather make a YouTube video about helping others than an Instagram post, for example, to celebrate that you've been sober for 1,200 days. That's what which makes total sense based on what you've said, because you're reprogramming a mindset.
Yeah, and I think the only time and a place when it comes good to sharing that is if you're setting an example to other people, and but then I think it's important that you also got to meet people where they're at. So for some people, they might see somebody a year sober and be like, I'm never going to be able to do that. Whereas if somebody shares their journey of how they got to 1 year sober,
more inspiring.
Yeah, and they put some vulnerability into it and talk about the pain that they were in. And it's like that can kind of start waking people up. So that's more what I did.
I like it because I'm glad that we see that exactly the same, because people that are constantly, and I think for some, there's quite a few people in your space now that are, should we say, helping or have made a business out of helping others quit alcohol, which I think is great. And some people have gone about it in a different way. But if the marketing message is constantly, I'm 2 years sober, I'm 5 years sober, I've just found it's got quite boring. Whereas your message is so nice and clear, because it's like vision, rewiring, and everything's cool. And if you guys over there want to have a drink, that's cool as well. You don't hate on people that have a drink, do you?
No, so that was another big shift as well, is every single other attempt, I would look at people that drank with some, very small amount of envy, then that conversation would come back in my head. But these days, I'll be around people that drink a lot, like especially in Dubai, going out for this dinner, or someone's ordering wine, someone's ordering this. I don't care. I feel nothing. It's like I'm sat with people drinking bleach. Like I just would never put that in my body.
Let's talk a little bit about that, mate, because I think that's about the fitting in. So you're happy to go to a restaurant or a bar, hang out with people, they'll have a drink, you don't need to have one, you'll order whatever. Do you drink alcohol-free beer?
No.
Thank you.
Never.
Good. We can still be friends. And you're happy to say nothing about it. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, like here's the thought is if you went to let's say you woke up tomorrow, you're in an alternate universe. Yeah. And you're in this universe, right? And then your friend calls you up, it's Friday night, you go to a bar, and you get to the bar, and then you see behind, the, whatever you call it, behind the bar, there's all these bottles, and you're like, where's the alcohol? And you look closely, and it's like these blue bottles of bleach. What the fuck's this? So you see your friends, hey, Marcus, come here. So you sit down, and then everyone's got their drink, and then you look in the middle of the table, and there's a bottle of bleach. And then he gives you the glass, he puts the bleach in, he pours the Coca-Cola in, he's like, there you go, mate. And you're like, I don't want that. And then you sit there and you talk to your friends.
Amazing.
And that's if you were in that alternate universe, you'd just be like, no. If those people came into our universe and saw us drinking alcohol, they'd feel the same way. They're like, dude, what are you drinking that shite for? It's just pure poison. Yeah. So when I'm sat with people drinking, it's like I see bleach. It's like, I logically see it.
Does that affect your friendships and relationships?
If it does, then they're not my friends. It's simple as that.
But from I guess the question is, mate, and are you happy to have friends? Like we said, are you happy to go to brunch with people and they have a few drinks and you sit there and you can maintain friendships, or do you find that difficult? I
would personally never go to a brunch. Like these, bottomless brunches.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because it's boring.
Yeah.
So
super.
yeah, like the message that I've got is I'm never afraid to be in an environment with alcohol.
Right.
So, but only if I'm doing something or I'm with people that I really like.
Right.
So, in the first year of stopping drinking, as I lived in Bangkok for a month, there was like a month period. It was me and my best friend.
Yeah.
And we love pool. We just like get addicted to pool, right? There you go. There's what I stopped alcohol for, playing pool. No, just kidding. So we'd go to these bars, right? We'd go to these bars and we'd be out till like 3 a.m, right?
Yeah.
And we'd play like 4 or 5 nights a week. Everybody's smashed, and it's like, you know, dodgy areas as well where there's all females and it's just chaos.
Yeah.
And but it was fun. Like, it's just like this mad environment. There's so much stimulus. I didn't think about drinking once. But it's not like I'm going to a nightclub where I feel uncomfortable, where there's loads of loud music and dancing. I don't dance, man. Like, you know, I'm not going to go there. But as long as
mate, don't worry.
Yeah. As long as you don't want to see me dance. As long as you're doing something that you enjoy,
Yeah.
and you're with people that you like, it doesn't matter.
So if you go out for lunch or a dinner with some good friends, and they're having a bottle of wine with the meal, nothing excessive, whatever, everyone's happy.
Yeah. Yeah, but also one thing that happened is, as I've stopped drinking alcohol, is at the beginning I was around people that drank more, but then those relationships just kind of started to fade away.
Mate.
Yeah, but it wasn't a conscious choice of like, I'm cutting people out of my life that drank. It was just, okay, well, I'm now friends with this person, and we met in the gym, and we trained together, and he just naturally hardly drinks anyway. And then
it's
another
a
friend
natural
like that.
movement, because environment's key, isn't it? You know, it's a natural movement that the people that you start to hang out with, and like you said, people that you like to be with, they should, like that friend liked to play pool. The fact that you're doing it in a bar, it doesn't matter. It's just that the pool table was in the bar, and you guys had a great time till 3 a.m, 4 nights a week because you played pool. So it's the environment. And like you say, you probably, because normally substitutes is fitness for alcohol, which is great for both of us, actually, you know. And it's like, so now you get friends from the gym, and you can, but there are also certain people that, and I guess it goes back to what we were talking about before. For some people, the tool of telling people the whole time or posting on whatever platform they use that they're so many days dry is a really powerful tool for them, and we shouldn't always deprive them. For some people, the tool of not hanging out with people that are consuming alcohol is the right tool at the right time. But you're at a stage where it's cool. If you're a good lad, we're mates, we can go out. If you want to have a drink. I mean, I can't stand it, mate. I can't stand hanging out with people that are drunk. Drives me nuts. And the more, but that's also because I think I've seen a lot of people, which I think we all have, really screw themselves up. And I don't know, do we feel responsible if we've been in their company? I don't know, but yeah, I won't go to a brunch, don't worry.
Yeah. Nah, not for me.
It's it's an interesting one. Mate, it's awesome. It's a great conversation. I think it's different for a lot of people, but your principles and the way that you've delivered them is uber powerful, mate. And we have to congratulate you. I know the number doesn't mean a lot, but 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, it does mean something. It means that you're doing something great, mate. And I know, like you said, the content that you've put on YouTube for free, that's like this podcast, 900 and whatever. I think if you listen to all of these shows, please go and do it. If you listen to all of these shows, you get, not from me, but from the guests, you get all the keys to unlocking everything. So, mate, thank you for what you're doing, for helping people, and also for sharing it. We've had good conversations as well around alcohol, and I think I'll never forget and you used it in this show, the vodka on your cornflakes. I think you used that on me the first time we chatted outside, wasn't it?
Probably.
I've been riding for like 7 hours and he's talking to me about vodka on cornflakes. I'm like, but mate, it's great to have you obviously here in Dubai and at the gym. How does it work? If people want to use your program, they like what you've said, how does all of that work?
Just go to soberclear.com.
Awesome.
Or go to the YouTube channel. and get indoctrinated into the mindset.
And go back to video number 1. And I'm stoked that video is the way that you explained it, mate. It's super cool.